podcast of West Tigers. This week's guest, he is an icon of the club. He's a West Tigers Life member. In fact, along with Benji Marshall, he was the first inductee of the Life Members Club. One of the best number 9s the game has ever seen. Dally M Hooker of the Year not once, but twice. He holds the record for most games played by a West Tigers player. 277 games over 2 stints at West Tigers. 303 NRL games in total. 8 games for the Kangaroos, 6 for Lebanon. 16 Origin appearances for New South Wales. Robbie Farah, wonderful to have you, mate, as the very first guest on Behind the Roar.
Thanks, mate.
Well, how are you settling in? How are you enjoying the new role? Is it all that you thought it would be?
Mate, it's been unreal. It's been really good. Obviously, to be back here at the club, a few years away from the club post-retirement, then was involved in a part-time role running the blue shirt with Madge here. But then obviously coming on now as a full-time assistant coach with Benji back and Sheensy and obviously guys like Pete Musa as well in high performance. So a lot of familiar faces, which really makes you feel like you're at home and excited about what we can do this year as a group and a roster. We've obviously recruited quite well, I think, and excited by the talent we've got coming through. So there's a great mix of kids there that goes with the senior players that we've got now, and it's been a really enjoyable 3 or 4 months of pre-season and looking forward to playing some footy now.
Mate, it's great to spend some time with you, and I'll be first up and say we don't know each other very well at all, so let's show our cards there, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you and working with you over the next few years and beyond, or however long that may be. We'll chat shortly about the year ahead and pre-season. Mm-hmm. No doubt we'll talk about Benji, we'll talk about Tim, we'll talk about some of the new players as well. Lots for us to get through, and I do appreciate you being guest number 1. You must feel pretty special about being the first guest, first cab off the rank.
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah.
Sheensy was going to, and I thought, well, no, we'll
that episode would have gone way too long with Sheensy.
Well, there, okay. Sheensy does love a chat, but I'm looking forward to chatting with him next week. So how we do this, Robbie, we kick off the show with a set of 6, okay? First set of 6. So there's the whistle. We're underway, Behind the Roar, and Robbie Farah it is with the first carry of the opening set of 6. So I'm going to ask you 6 questions, and we're going to get to know a little bit more about Robbie Farah.
Okay, let's do it.
Bryden's lawyers are the lawyers you know and trust. If you require legal representation, then why look anywhere else? Call Bryden's lawyers on 1800 848 848. Bryden's lawyers, we do support you in your time of need.
All right, set of 6, tackle number 1. Right back to the start. Let's go way back. Your junior footy. How old were you? Where were you playing?
I was 9 years old when I started playing footy. I actually wanted to be a tennis player when I grew up. That was the first sport I played. Loved my tennis. Used to get some coaching, one-on-one lessons, and then obviously gravitated towards team sports. Friends at school were playing footy and cricket on weekends. So started playing footy for the Enfield Feds at the age of 9, which was in the Canterbury competition back then. I grew up in Campsie, which is right a stone's throw away from Belmore Sports Ground. My old man still lives there. So played there from the age of 9 till the age of 12, and the Feds folded when I was 12. And the only other club in the area to play for was St John's Lakemba, and we didn't want to play there. They were our arch rivals. Hated them as a club. So our coach brought us all over to Leichhardt Wanderers. There was about 7 or 8 guys from the Feds. We all went to play at Leichhardt Wanderers. So ended up at the Wanderers in the Balmain comp from the age of 12. Obviously all the way through. So Balmain Junior from there, played Mats, ball, flag all the way through the grades, and then obviously went on to make my debut at the Tigers.
Well, we didn't know each other very well, right? We got a couple of things in common. We're both former hookers. You were a very good hooker. I was pretty crap. But Enfield Feds, I'm pretty sure my old man played at Enfield Feds.
Yeah,
way back when.
I think it's a pretty old club. The Feds. They're back now in the Balmain comp. So yeah.
When did you know, and this isn't part of the official set of 6, I'm throwing this one in because I'm allowed to because I'm host, right? Yeah. When did you know that you're a pretty good bloody player and that you could take this thing seriously?
Well, I was never the best player growing up, to be honest. I was never the most talented in my age group. I never made, Australian schoolboys or New South Wales under 15s or 17s. Never made any of those. It was through hard work and dedication. I never came from a footy background. I went to a Catholic high school. Our footy team used to get beat by 40 every week.
What school was that?
De La Salle Ashfield. Yeah. So we were a soccer school, really good in soccer and basketball, but we had a crap footy team. So no, that was tough. But I always got told, youngest of 4 boys, grew up playing with my older brothers, obviously, and their friends. So had a tough initiation growing up. I always got told I'd never be able to play, and I was a pretty stubborn kid. So you tell me I couldn't do something, I'll try and prove you wrong. So I was just obsessed. I became obsessed with proving people wrong and playing first grade. I've told this story many times, but I made a bet with my older brother. He was really tough on me. He'd always tell me I'd never make it, and I bet him $1,000 that I'd play NRL as a teenager. So I remember the first call I made when Sheensy, the Saturday morning when Sheensy told me I was making my debut the next day. First call I made was to my brother. I told him better get to a bank. So, it was, that was sort of my upbringing. As I said, I never played schoolboys footy or New South Wales reps or anything like that. It was 19s, played 19s at Flegg. Flegg back then was 8 rounds, I think it was. So I finished the 8 rounds there. I think I played 1 New South Wales Cup game, or 2 actually. I played New South Wales Cup, made my debut on the Sunday at Cogra. Then we had a midweek game at Balmain versus West on a Wednesday night at Leichhardt Oval. I played 5-8, and then I made my debut on that Sunday. So I played 2 cup games in the week, and then played NRL on that Sunday Arvo.
You remember the debut? Who was it against?
Against Manly.
How'd you go?
Yeah, Manly. We got beat. I came on after I think it was about 12 to go before half time, and had a scoop from dummy half, almost kicked the 40-20, and I remember just the speed of the game going into half time. I'd been on the field for 12 minutes, just had a massive stitch. But we'd lost the game, but I remember afterwards I was played 1 game, I'd lived my dream. I would have been happy if I didn't play another one, to be honest, but 300 games later.
Yeah, 302 later. Yeah. Unbelievable. Tell us a bit more about your family then.
Yeah, so youngest of 5, sister's the eldest, and then 4 boys. Mum and dad obviously migrated from Lebanon, and dad's was a taxi driver. Came here without an education or couldn't speak English, no money to his name, and just built a family and gave us all a good life. And you take for granted. I was only talking about this the other day, actually, just a sliding doors moment, how different my life would have been if I'd grown up in Lebanon, as footy's not a thing there. So I don't know what I would have done, to be honest. But it's just how your life changes, and dad picked up and moved halfway across the world to give us a better life. And I think that's where, and he was always big on education. He never wanted me to play footy. Mum never would come and watch me play footy because she was too scared. It was always education. So, my brothers are, one's a lawyer, one's a physio, one's a civil engineer, and I wanted to play footy. Dad told me that the only way I could play footy was if I went to uni and got a degree. So I did that. So I got that piece of paper just to keep him happy.
What degree
got
was
an
that?
economics degree. So, and to be fair, I had no ambition to do it, but I just did that for him, for him to, I guess, be content or allow me to play footy, which was always my dream. So, and I guess that work ethic that all my brothers have got came from him, and the sacrifices and the hard work he had to go through to give us a better life.
Well, your dad must be very proud, and that there's got to be life after football. To prepare for that, you've got some business interests, and we'll talk about them.
And look, I was never to know if footy was going to work out for me, No. So I guess it was important at the time that I did have a degree or something to fall back on. And I was fortunate enough that I did get to play a long career and make a career and a living out of footy. But a lot of players, their careers get cut short through injury, or you don't get another contract, and then you do. You have to have an education or a apprenticeship or something that you can fall back on. So I've got that in the back pocket for whenever I needed.
Tell me about your love of Liverpool FC. Where did that all start?
Just from my brothers. As I said, youngest of 4 boys, and they grew up supporting Liverpool. Obviously, I think a lot of Aussies did because of Craig Johnston, who went over in the late 80s as the first Australian to play in the English Premier League, and he was at Liverpool. So, and that just got fed down to me, and I again became pretty passionate about it. Now all my nephews support Liverpool, and they wake up at all hours of the morning with us to watch the game. So, it's pretty cool.
You've been to Anfield?
I've been to Anfield several times. Yeah.
It's spine tingling, isn't it? You'll never walk alone.
It's an amazing experience. Yeah. So I've been there. I went to a Champions League final, which was in the middle of the season. I think we had the bye, and I said to Madge, I got a free ticket from Steven Gerrard to go to Madrid for the Champions League final.
Well, how'd that work out?
We had 4 days off for the bye. We had the bye
getting the free ticket from Gerrard.
Oh, well, I've got to know him from the times they've been out in Australia, so I just sent him a text and said, look, I'm after a ticket. I thought he might be able to put me in contact with someone. I didn't expect a free one. I was going to pay. And he just got back to me a couple of weeks later and said, I got you a free ticket. And I jumped on a plane on my own and flew to Madrid in the middle of the season. I remember Madge was, whatever hair he had left, and not he had much, but he was pulling his hair out and allowing me to go to Madrid in the middle of the season. But it was a trip of a lifetime. It was something I'll never forget.
How long were you there? A couple of days?
Yeah, 4 days. So I was there and back in 4 days, back to get ready for our game the next week.
Well, other than, whirlwind trips to go and watch Liverpool play at Anfield, what makes Robbie Farah tick? So away from footy, I know you've got other business interests. What do you enjoy doing in your spare time when you get it?
Mate, I'm a pretty simple person, mate. I enjoy my training still. I love my training. I've obviously got business interests. I've got a Pilates studio and a gym. So, it's funny. When I retired, I thought I'd sort of just not let myself go, but just sort of relax a bit and enjoy life a bit more and eat what I want. But I still love training every day and pushing myself to the point of exhaustion with my training, like I used when I was playing. So I enjoy my training. I love my food. That's probably why I enjoy my training so much, just to earn my food. Because
keep it in balance.
Yeah, I'm a big foodie, so I love my food and
what you go to. Yeah, I like the red wine too.
So I've got to make sure I train to make sure I don't get that.
What you go to food?
Oh, mate, I love everything, to be honest. I can't pick one, but I'm always out and about eating at
more Lebanese, food or Italian,
Italian, Asian. I don't discriminate. I eat it all.
I tell you what, this is a very long set of 6.
Yeah, it is.
Repeat set after repeat.
But yeah, mate, that's it. Just my food, my training, and mate, I've got a really small and close circle of friends and family. I love enjoying time with my friends and family, and just eating and drinking and training.
No, there's been a couple of set restarts, all right? So we've thrown a few more tackles in here. Your business interests, let's touch on that. Barclay Pierce Capital, and I understand they're about to or have recently or will be extending their contract here, which is great news.
They're on board again.
Tell us more about your role with them.
Yeah, so on board with them as an ambassador, doing all sorts of stuff. They're a financial services company and asset management as well, and we're in the process actually of setting up an asset management fund which will be targeted at athletes. So I'm I've always been a big believer and advocate for athletes setting themselves up for life after footy. A lot of athletes, a lot of footy players here earn good money, but sometimes they don't know what to do with it, or they blow it, or they don't set themselves up so that they're comfortable in retirement. So setting up an asset management fund where players can invest their money safely and making sure that they're, whatever money they are earning, it's going a long way, so that when it does come time for them to retire, they've got that security there that they're set up for the next phase of their life. So on board with them, which is really good. And obviously I set up 247, my events and sports travel company. Which
how's that traveling?
Really good, really good. Obviously COVID was tough, but we've bounced back out of that and doing a lot of all the sporting events around the world. Obviously Super Bowls every year, which I don't get to go on this year because I'm coaching, but my business partner is over in Phoenix, Arizona, or went over to Phoenix, Arizona for the Super Bowl, and we're down in Melbourne for the tennis, and we do all the Formula Ones and European sports and American sports, and we do a lot of corporate events.
That's work,
too.
Is it? That's work?
That's work, yeah. That's work. So everyone's looking for a job in my company, or my friends are anyway. But
not surprised.
But the name of the company 247. So the story, we started this up about 6 years ago, and it was just about the time that I left the Tigers at the end of 2016. And we're trying to come up with a name for the company, and my business partner realised that I'd finished on 247 games at the Tigers. So, and what we were trying to provide was a 24/7 service, any event around the world, any time of the year. So he saw the synergy there, and he said, well, you finished on 247 games at the Tigers. Let's call the company 247.
I like it.
But then I came back to the Tigers and finished on 277 games.
Change the name of the company. So, and you've got the Pilates studio as well. How long have you had that? Is it going well?
Pilates studios in Concord on Majors Bay Road. That's going really well. We've been open for about 15 months.
You get on the reformer and put the tights on?
Yeah, I obviously had the biggest injury I had through my career, and still to this day, the thing I've got to manage the most is my back. I had back surgery when I was 24, and right through my career, Pilates was a big part of that, to make sure I strengthened my core and my back and my glutes to make sure I could play as long as I could. And big believer in Pilates. I think there's a perception out there that Pilates is just for women, or it's stretching, whatever, but it's quite challenging. It's really tough, and Mate, I love it. So, and the boys have been getting down to the studio doing some classes as well, and it's really good for you. So, that's going really well.
They get mates rates, so you let them in for free or what?
I'll just send the invoice to Sheensy, mate.
Nice.
And nice. JP.
Absolutely. No, I stuffed my hip. So I've done a bit of Pilates recently, just trying to strengthen that left butt cheek or glute, whatever you call it. But it is hard work.
It's really tough.
It is hard work. Geez, you've got some fingers in pies, haven't you? Next you'll be telling me you're ambassador for Garlo's pies or something.
No,
actually,
no pies here, mate.
Well, we might have just stumbled across something because I'm an ideas man, right? We might. Well, we'll watch this space, perhaps.
Let's talk afterwards.
Tell us now, and this is the final set of 6, the world's longest set of 6, set restart. Tell us something we don't know about Robbie Farah.
Mate, I tell you, if I didn't play footy, I know I studied and stuff, but I never wanted to be an economist. If I didn't play footy, I would have wanted to be a chef. Yeah, I love my cooking. Still enjoy my cooking for other people, and if footy didn't work out for me, would have loved to be working in a kitchen somewhere.
I can see in the kitchen with the big chef's
Love
hat
my
on.
food, so.
Who and the boys are decent in the kitchen, know their way around a kitchen?
I don't know. I haven't seen it so far. I know was it the year of
Twali
COVID?
fancies
Twali and
himself.
Adam were getting on the Lebanese barbecue, so I wasn't here. They were in the COVID bubble that year, and I wasn't a part of it. But I think we should start getting them back, the Lebanese barbecues.
Hey guys, Sean Bloor here. Hope you're enjoying Behind the Roar, the official West Tigers podcast. If you haven't done so already, make sure you've got your tickets to our first game of the season against the Titans at Light Card Oval on Sunday, 5th of March. The best way to support the team is to show your stripes and become a member. So what are you waiting for? Jump on our website now and show your stripes. Let's talk footy. Some serious stuff now, away from you. I tell you what, I've got to know a whole lot more about Robbie Farah. Now, the new structure of the club, how do you feel it is, the direction the club's going? You know, a lot of new players, the new centre of excellence, the new coaching structure.
Mate, I love it. It's for me, it's a bit of it's almost like you're stuck in a time warp. You know, coming back under Sheensy and myself and Benji working together, and Sheensy hasn't changed a bit. Still got the same philosophies that he had as a coach when we started 20 years ago, and we've got a clear and what I enjoy and what was so exciting to me about coming back was being able to work with Tim and Benji, because we all have the same philosophies on how we want to play and what that Tigers DNA is. And I think that's been lost over the last 10 years, if I'm being honest. That Tigers DNA and but having Tigers people back here, Tim, Benji, as I said, Pete Musa, people that have been involved in the club for a long time. I just feel like we're one big family again here, and having this centre of excellence is amazing. It makes you want to come to work every day. Obviously, doesn't guarantee results, but you're creating an environment here where people want to come in and be here and work hard and hang around and do their extras. And we've had the demountables the last couple of years, and that's quite a tough environment to work in. So, it's really good. The vibe around the place is amazing at the moment. As I said, great group of boys, good balance of senior players that we've recruited and younger players coming through, and great support staff, admin staff. So let's hope that translates into results on the field.
You talk about Sheensy and Benji and getting the band back together. Can I ask you, just go down this path? Look, I know that you would have wanted to be a one-club player, right? For whatever reason, it didn't work out that way, but you came back to West Tigers, and now here you are again in an expanded coaching role. Tell me, what is it about this club that you all want to come back and be a big part of it? What is it?
It's the people. It's the people that were there from when I first started, that you still see here, in and amongst the club. And as I said, that sort of we drifted away from that, and there were outside people coming in, and I felt like the club changed a bit. Whereas and then when I left, and I had family even say to me, "Why do you want to go back? Why do you want to go back after everything that happened?" And then when I thought about it, I said, "You don't let one or two people ruin your love for a place. There's more to a club than that. And those people that whatever happened with me happened, were gone. And so you love the club. You don't let a couple of people come in and ruin the love you've had for a club from a very young age. So there's a lot of memories here. There's a lot of friendships I've made right through my life, and that'll never change. And there's that attachment to the club where you want to come back and help out. I to be honest, never really had an ambition to be a full-time coach. I was enjoying being away from footy.
And now?
I had my business interests away from footy and I was enjoying that freedom. But then when JP and Sheensy approached me last year about their ideas about Tim coming back and Benji and myself, I couldn't say no. I just couldn't. If it was any other club, I would have said no, because for me, it wasn't about just being a coach. It was about being a coach here and seeing the situation we're in of finishing last year and getting the wooden spoon. And I thought, you know what, I'm not happy about it, and I want to help. So so that excited me. That excited me to help turn it around, and that's because of the love I have. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got back into coaching.
And now that you've had a taste of this coaching style in this new team, are you a bit more serious? Are you rethinking about your coaching ambitions? I know Benji's serious about it, and he moves into the head position.
I've really enjoyed my time so far. Obviously, it's only been pre-season, so you can probably ask me again 3 or 4 months into the year about how we're going. And like anything, look, let's be honest. If we're winning, I'm going to love it. And if we're losing, I'll probably want to kick the walls down. So ask me again in a few months. But at the moment, I'm really loving it. As I said, it's a great place to be around. Coming in with people I know and have worked with for many years helps as well, because you can implement the things that you want to, and you've got the same ideas on how you want to play. So it allows you to be creative and have that input into our footy. And at the moment, if you ask me, I'm glad. I don't regret making the decision to come back as a coach. That's for sure. I'm loving it, and I'm glad I I made the right choice to come back and take up the option.
You just spoke there about kicking the doors down and all that. It's no secret that you hated losing, right? And perhaps your public perception would come across as maybe grumpy Robbie Farah at times. Do you think that's a fair way to describe it? Or, I mean, people that know you, though, know that there is a very lighthearted and human side to you. But oftentimes, I guess the media painted a bit of a different picture when you played. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I
never got along with the media anyway, but I didn't really care about and they didn't know me. And I'm a pretty how do I put it? I'm a pretty honest person. If I don't if they did wrong by me, they'd know about it, and I wouldn't play the game with them. So, and I hated losing. So, I'm a pretty passionate person. So you'd know how I was feeling. If I was grumpy, you'd know about it. If I was happy, you'd know about it. But I'm a bit less grumpy these days. But yeah, I didn't mind about the perception, because the people in here knew what I was like, and my friends and family know what I'm like. So the other journos could write what they want about me. It doesn't matter.
That team from 2005, right? So I was just looking through the lineup the other day. I was putting something on the website. So there's yourself and Benji. Heino's now back on deck as well.
Yep.
In the coaching setup. Paddy Richards has been working with the club as well.
Paddy's here, yep.
Tim as well.
Tim as well.
Who else are we going to bring back? That DNA, though, and you've already touched on it, very, very important. Tim has been out of the NRL for some time. We all know that. Some will be sitting back saying, well, has he still got it? Has it been too long? From what you've seen and what I've seen in pre-season, he's a very astute man. And how do you think he's going to go?
He still loves his footy. And Tim just coaches the basics of the game, the catch, pass, the skills that you need to execute under pressure. That, to be honest, it's surprising how many players get to NRL and they don't know the simple skills of the game. But we've done those repetitively right through preseason, because whilst they're simple skills, you create good habits by doing things over and over and over again. So, Tim is big on that, and everyone looks back at the 05 side and says, "Oh, those guys, they threw flick passes like Benji," or we did so. But we practiced everything that we did on the field. Everything we did was practiced, and we knew it was coming. So, Tim's a big believer of that you can do anything on the footy field as long as you practice it day in, day out of training. So that hasn't changed, and
that's what he was like back then.
That's what he's like back then, and he's still like that now. And obviously when it comes to the structural stuff and the way we want to play, he's given a lot of the reins to myself and Benji with our attack and the way we want to play, and he obviously sits back and oversees that, and it's great having him there as a mentor to us. let's not hide away from the fact that Benji and I are quite inexperienced as coaches. To go from not coaching at all straight to NRL, whereas most coaches will do an apprenticeship of 10, 15 years in the lower grades, or to earn the right to be an NRL coach. We've just been thrown straight in the deep end, but to have Tim there as a mentor just makes us a lot more confident as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been out of the NRL, but he's been coaching overseas, and you're right. A lot has changed with the game, but the basics haven't changed. And I love what I've seen from him in pre-season training. Talk more about Benji. And what I've seen from Benji, he's got real hands-on. You could throw some boots on him, and I got no doubt that he'd still go all right in the NRL. He's a very talented individual.
Yeah, he is. As you said, he still jumps in with the boys with his boots on. Me, not so much. But look, he's got coach written all over him. When the opportunity came up for him to come back here, he jumped at it. So it was great because when he left, I remember saying to him when he left that year, I wish he'd retired. I didn't want him to go to another club and ruin his legacy. And he was getting to that age where people are like, do you go 1 year to too many, and then ruin that legacy? But then he went to Souths, played great footy at Souths in all sorts of positions, made a grand final, almost won a grand final, which would have been amazing for him to finish on. But I still think he should have finished at the Tigers, even though he went to the South. But now it feels right.
He's back.
Yeah, he's back. Obviously, I went through my dramas, but for me to come back and finish here as well, be back here now, I think it's just right. It just never felt right seeing him in another coloured jersey. Probably never looked right seeing me in another coloured jersey. He's going awesome with the coaching stuff and learning. We're both learning every day off Tim and Fernsey, and we'll do our apprenticeship, and then Benji will take the reins in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, you're Tigers through and through, and neither of you looked right in different colours. I think we all sort of know that, don't we? But it's great to have the band back together. Just on Benji, still, there's so many young kids coming through, and the club is a development club, a pathways club. We make no secret about that. I've seen some of these young fellas training with Benji, and they're just wide-eyed thinking, wow, look at the skills this bloke is teaching us.
Yeah, he is. And I think, we've always been a development club, but the problem is in the last 5-10 years, all our players are playing at other clubs. When you look at, I could rattle on a whole 17 of players, rep players. You talk about your Tedescos, your Pappenhausens, all these players, Mitch Moses, all these guys at other clubs where, we want to develop these players. We want to develop them, make sure they're playing, not only a couple of years at the Tigers, but playing their careers out at this club like Benji and I wanted to. Like your Liam Fultons, your Bryce Gibbses, your Dean Hallertau's, Bronson, the list goes on, So it's one thing developing them, it's another thing keeping them. And I think with someone like Benji here and hopefully myself, these players will strive to grow up and make sure they play their careers out in the black and gold.
Our fans are looking and white, and typically it's probably orange actually. Now,
orange,
Hey, semantics. The new style of attack. We're expecting to see a bit more freedom in attack with Benji there, and with you working as well with the likes of Appy Coruscant. I don't know if you heard a few weeks ago, had a media day at the centre at the Zurich Centre, and Appy said something along the lines of, "I thought I sort of knew everything, but now working with Robbie, I know I didn't know much at all." It's a real compliment from Appy, who's won a few premierships.
He's been nice. He's won 3 premierships. I think he knows a fair bit. But
you're working with him though, and Tim also did tell me that he'll have a few little changes in his game that you'll help him with.
Yeah, like when a player like Appy comes to your club, you're not reinventing the wheel with him. To watch him day in day out of training, you realise how good he is. You watch on TV when he's playing for an opposition team, and you think, oh geez, what a great player. And I've said for the last couple of years that I think he's been the best hooker in the NRL. But seeing him and his craft around the ruck that he provides at training, he's going to add just another dimension to our side. Not only what he brings, but I think what he can provide to the players around him, our forwards, to Brooksy, and Adam in the halves. I think having someone like Appy that's always a threat out of 9 is just going to be massive for our side. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see him take control of the ruck there and what he can provide for our team.
I can't wait either. Our fans can't wait. Our members can't wait. March the 5th, Sunday, Leichhardt, Gold Coast Titans, and then we back it up a week later at Leichhardt.
What a way to start the year. 2 games at Leichhardt.
Bring it on.
And then third game at Belmore, so 3 suburban grounds, so that'd be great.
Yeah, bring it on. I know, look, a ball hasn't been kicked, but there's such a positive vibe around the club, and it's great to see. Just on other new signings, apart from Appy, I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Appy, but from Clem as well, from Ice.
Yep.
I didn't know these guys, but already really good club, man.
All great leaders too, I think. Definitely something we've needed. We've lacked that sort of leadership with senior players. Obviously, Jimmy Tamo left at the end of the year as well. So, we need leaders. And when you look at Appy, Ice, Clem, all played for their countries, all played rep footy. They've won premierships, they played in big games, grand finals. So you can't have enough of those players. And those players are the best in their positions, not for what they do on the weekend. It's for what they do day in, day out at training, the way they prepare themselves, the way they train, how professional they are. And the younger boys see that. The younger boys see that and they want to emulate that. So whilst we've got great young kids coming through, you need the older guys that show them the way. It was like that with me and Benji coming through. We had the Mark O'Neills, the Scandalises, the Benny Gallias, all those guys, the Hodjo showing us how to be an NRL player. So these guys are not only going to have a big year for us on the field, but they're leading the way for those younger boys off the field and showing them what they need to do to be really good NRL players.
Well said, mate. Well said. Hey, just on Lebanon, and you were over at the World Cup in a coaching capacity. You played at the 2017 World Cup.
Yep.
You're captain, right?
Yep.
You're passionate about the Cedars and Lebanon. Tell me a bit about Michael Checker. I mean, he's been sort of knocking on the door, Check.
Mate, if you think I'm an angry man, or if anyone out there thinks I'm an angry man, mate, Check makes me look like an angel.
Does he?
Oh, mate, he's I loved working with him. Absolutely loved working with him.
A bit quirky.
He's angry, but he's a soft side to him too. He knows what he wants. He demands what he wants and the standards that he sets. What we were able to achieve in the World Cup this year was pretty amazing, and I think we're only going to go from strength to strength heading into the next World Cup. We're building a really strong team there, and there's no reason why we can't be competing with the top 6 nations in the world. When you're talking like your Fijis, your Tongas, your Samoas, Papua New Guineas, we should be there amongst those nations.
Hey, off track, just back on the World Cup. Elaborate more on the game where Dewey was given his marching orders, because you played a role in that, didn't you?
No. Well, the confusion was Andrew Voss on the commentary said that I'd been sent off, which was nonsense.
Right.
Obviously, my job as a trainer is to pick up the kicking team and run off the field, which I did. I was running off the field, and the cameras zoomed across to me, thinking I'd been sent off, and that's why I was running off. So, no, it wasn't me. I didn't yell out of sent. Although I'm sure referees in the past have heard me yelling out obscenities to him, but this time it wasn't me.
So it was just Dewey. It was
hadn't been a bad boy.
And he settled the score with Vossi too, Ads. He said, I don't want to be called Dwayhe.
He's changed his mind 30,000 times. So before the World Cup, he said it was Dwayhe. Yeah. Now apparently he's gone back to Dewey. So who knows?
Finally, in this segment, what makes a successful season for West Tigers this year?
Oh, we want to play finals footy. I think that's the goal at the start of every year, is to make sure you're there come September, and then you reassess. Once you get to September, it's another competition. So I'm not going to sit here and say, we want to be competitive, or we want to make sure we don't finish last, or none of that stuff. So we want to aim big, and I believe we can without getting expectations too high. I'm confident in the way we've trained. There's a lot of belief in the place and a great vibe. So, for us, we're here to win. So I know, people talk about 3-year rebuilds and 4-year rebuilds and things like that. But if we're not here to win, we shouldn't be here.
Okay, West Tigers fans, show your stripes and get ready to roar with the latest merchandise from the West Tigers Raw store. From stylish polos to cosy hoodies, we've got everything you need for the 2023 season. With a range of sizes and styles to choose from, you'll find the perfect item to fit your personal style. Whether you're heading to the game or you're just hanging with mates, the West Tigers Raw store has got you covered. So why wait? Head to the Raw store today and show your stripes. Time now for questions from the crowd, and if you want to get involved in the show and send in a question or two to our guest each week, you can. Just jump on the website and socials. It'll explain it all there for you. Drop us a direct message or on Insta, or better still, you can leave a voicemail. Next week we will be chatting to head coach Tim Sheens, so if you've got something you'd like to ask the coach, go for it. Righto, Robbie, a couple of questions from the crowd. Dane from Lismore, he says, we hear a lot about bringing the DNA back to the club, which we have touched on. How confident are you that this will lead to success in the years to come?
Yeah, very confident. It's, for me, there is a certain Tigers DNA. You know, we've always been a team that's not quite entertaining to watch, but we back ourselves. There's a certain style we want to play with the ball. It doesn't mean that you don't focus on your defence. We're going to be big on defence, and we are big on defence. And I think even back when you look at 05, everyone talks about how entertaining we were. But by the end of the year, we were a strong defensive team. We conceded 40 points in the whole final series in 4 games, so 10 points a game. So I think by having a good attack, it takes the pressure off your D as well. I just think, now that we know the style we want to play. That's our culture, that's our DNA. It's funny, the analogy I use, watching us the past few years, ever seen the movie Cool Runnings?
Yeah.
Remember when the coach, what was his name, the big fit, John Candy? Yeah. He comes in coaching them, and
God bless him.
He tries to make the Jamaican bobsled team train and be like the Swiss. Well, I think that's what's happened to us in the last few years. We're not the Swiss, like we've tried to play like the Storm and the Roosters and that. No, we're the Jamaican bobsled team. You got to be Jamaican. Yeah, we're Jamaican.
I like the analogy.
So that's us. So we're going to embrace that, and we'll back ourselves. But we're going to work hard. And we'll play an exciting brand of footy. But you got to earn the right to play that footy. You got to work hard with the ball, without the ball. You got to be fit. The way we're going to play, we want to be fit. We want to move fast.
Kate from Lumia, Robbie, she says, loved you as a player and still love you as a coach. Take us through your retirement game. So that was, you weren't supposed to play, right?
No, I was never playing.
You'd broken your leg.
Yeah, I'd broken my leg. I had a fracture in my knee, depression fracture in my knee. I was out.
But you threw your boots in the bag just in case.
So I wouldn't take no for an answer. I said, I'm coming back. So I worked my backside off to get myself fit for the game. 4 weeks post-break, even though I had a scan the Monday of, was still broken. But in my head, I was going to play. I did a fitness test. Pete Musa was trying to ease me into it. On the Monday, I did everything, changed the direction. He couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, to be honest.
So Leichhardt, was it against Sharks, was it?
Against Sharks, yeah. Madge decided on the Tuesday that I wasn't going to play, says too much of a risk. Yeah. He said, let's win this week. We'll save you for the semi next week. And
because you had to win that to make the semi?
Yeah, and I was like, mate, there might not be a semi. If we lose, there might not be a semi. But he just said, mate, it's too much of a risk. I said, all right, sweet. He said, look, you're not playing. The boys all knew I wasn't playing. He said, but we'll keep you in the 19 just to keep the Sharks guessing. Okay, so wasn't going to play. He's just said to me, and then I was leaving captain on the day before, and he said, mate, just bring your boots tomorrow, leave them in the car, just in case something happened. It was just a throwaway line. I don't think he actually meant it. And then, mate, the night before the game, on the Saturday night, my brother flew down from Brisbane to be at my last game, even though I wasn't playing, because it was obviously going to be a great occasion at Leichhardt Oval, sold out crowd. Mate, I stayed up having a couple of glasses of whiskey with him, watching the cricket. The Ashes was on to about 2 a.m.
I thought you said you were a red man.
It was whiskey that night. And then, woke up the next morning, got to Leichhardt nice and early to sort of soak up the atmosphere in the crowd. It was obviously going to be my last ever game at Leichhardt, even though I wasn't playing. And then Corey Thompson does a calf in warm-up. And then Craig Sandercock came over to me. I was passing balls to Brooks. I was in my tracksuit. And he said, mate, get inside and get your boots. I thought he was joking. And he said, mate, Tubbsy's gone down. He said, get inside and get ready. And I remember just going inside, and I had all this adrenaline running through me. They were in there, and then I started getting dressed. And Moses Sembai was there, and he wasn't playing. And he's there, grabbed me, and he's like, I don't know if I can swear on this podcast or not. But
we
he's
can
like,
beep it out.
yeah. And he's like, he's like, this is like a movie. He's like, you're going to win us the game. And I said, Moe, shut up. I said, I need to gather myself here and focus and get my mind on playing. And then even my family were in the crowd, and then they started getting text messages because the Fox Sports coverage started. The cameras are on me getting dressed in the sheds, and news started to filter through. I was playing, and then my family were like, no, he's not playing. And then they got on their KO app on their phone and watching, and no one could believe it. And so ended up playing. The one regret I've got from that game is Madge, because I said to Madge too, I said, mate, just let me start, get me out there, let me start, because it just would have lifted the crowd and the boys and everything. But he left me on the bench, and then I didn't get onto the second half, and I think the game was gone by, it was 22-4 or something by the time I got on, and the game was over. So we lost. So I think I got interviewed after the game on the sideline. I said, mate, it was like the day turned out like a movie, just with a shit ending. So it just wasn't meant to be.
You pulled the pins. That was it. How did you feel knowing you won't lace up a boot again?
Mate, I was so happy. It was, people regret when they retire, they miss it. I have not missed it for a day in my life because of this reason, because I came back and finished at the club, I was the most content man in the world. If I'd retired, if I went to the Rabbitohs and had to retire playing reserve grade at the Bunnies, which I thought was going to happen, I was a bee's dick away from retiring playing reserve grade at North Sydney Bears. I would have had a chip on the shoulder for the rest of my life. But to come back to the club, I came back in 2018 for half a season, the last, I think, 8 or 10 games of the year. I would have been happy to finish then, to be honest. Played that year. The club offered me and Benji another year. Decided to play another year, and I knew I was done. I'd achieved everything I wanted to. I got to come back home and finish my career. So at the full-time whistle, I've not missed it one bit.
Wow, that's quite a story, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's still plenty that Robbie Farah can achieve at this club too, by the way, in a coaching capacity. We're running short on time, but Terry from Ryde says, how good is the current batch of players we've got coming through?
I heard Tim say they were better than us.
I heard that too. Thanks, Tim.
I better go have a chat to Tim, but look, potentially they can be. Let's see what they achieve if they're willing to work. Like, they've got all the talent in the world. There's no doubt about that. And obviously we won the Magpies, the West Magpies won the Harold Mats last year, so a great crop of kids coming through there, and some really talented kids. So look, it's up to me and myself and Benji and Tim and Dave to bring them through, and let's see, let's hope they can be better than us, which means there'll be another premiership or two here for the club.
All right, final 5 minutes to go. Right, we're into the final 5. I'm going to ask you your favourite 5. This is about some of the best and the worst moments in your career, okay, Robbie? Career highlights, or the career highlight other than the 2005 premiership, what would it be?
Oh, geez. How do you pick one? Captaining this club as many times as I did. Origin, obviously. Playing for Lebanon. For me, Lebanon gave me my start as a footy player in 2002 when I was 18. I never got to play for them again until 2017. That World Cup for me was one of the most enjoyable experiences of my life. So many.
Your best performance. When did you play the best Robbie Farah could play? Do you remember it?
I remember it quite clearly. My best ever game was Hodjo's 200th game. It was at Leichhardt Oval against the Cowboys. I think it might have been 2007. We won by about 50, and everything I did that night just turned to gold. Like, it was just, it was probably the perfect game. I know Tim always says no one's ever played the perfect game. I reckon I went pretty close that night.
Yeah, fair enough. The most memorable moment in your career, and again, let's take 05 out of it, because that's probably going to be there for all of these questions. A memorable moment in your career.
For Tigers? Or?
Doesn't have to be.
For me, it's Game 2, 2012, New South Wales. Obviously, quite well documented. That game was the last game my mum ever watched me play. But I think for me, before that, there was always question marks over, was I tough enough for Origin?
Yep.
Everyone saw me as the attacking Robbie Farah, never the defensive one or the tough one.
Yep.
And that game, I went out there, I know I made 63 tackles because my mum was 63 years old, and that was it. So there was that synergy there. It was, so I made 63 tackles that night, and I think that put away, or I guess put to rest, the question marks or the myth that I wasn't tough enough for Origin.
Full stop.
So for me, that was sort of the moment in my career where I knew that I'd sort of made it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In terms of moments, right, and iconic moments in your career, I think we all see you up on that scoreboard. Can you remember what was going through your head?
I'll tell you what, the moment everyone talks to me about, even to this day, is the Anthony Watts fight. Is like out of 10 people that come up to me on the street, 8 people will say, mate, we love that fight. Again, probably because everyone thought I couldn't throw them, so surprised a few people. But so that was a pretty fun moment. But yeah, the scoreboard. What do you want to know about the scoreboard?
I don't know.
That's a long.
It's
that's
just,
not
I
a
know,
long, not a long story, but
it's a long. Well, no, it's
got?
iconic.
It wasn't planned.
Was it cider you were drinking, or
it was beer, cider? It ended up being about 10 cans. I was up there for about 2 hours, and it was a beautiful. Everyone said, "Oh, I was I looked lonely." I loved it. I'm a pretty deep person. I'm a deep thinker, and I love that. And I just sat up there on the scoreboard, and I had a few cans and looked over the sun.
Had you planned
the sun was no. So Big Baz, who is a scoreboard attendant, had written a message up on the scoreboard. So when you look at that picture, you look at the scoreboard, there's actually a message to me, and it says YNWA 247, which is my games. I was like Legend, Faz, whatever it was. So Baz came over. I was over signing autographs with fans after the game. He said, "Oh, look at the scoreboard. I've left you a message."
Nice.
So Abdul, who was a E-Group security guard, escorted me over through the crowd to go take a photo underneath the scoreboard. Anyway, we noticed that the door was open and I could walk up the stairs to take a photo.
Why not?
So I went up there to get a photo, and I've still got about 100 photos on my camera roll that were taken off my phone from Abdul, the security guard. And whilst I was up there, someone threw me a drink. 1 became 2, 2 became 3, and I ended up being up there for about 2 hours. Just reflecting on my career, and obviously it was pretty sad to be leaving. I never wanted to leave, and Leichhardt Oval, I made my debut there. I played Junior League Grand Final. All my best memories. When I die one day, I want my ashes sprinkled on Leichhardt. I love the place. So it was just nice to sit up there. It was, mate, honestly, it's my favourite place in the world, and I just sat up there for a couple of hours reflecting on the journey, and I never thought I'd be back there one day, you know. So it's actually a pretty cool photo. It's sort of become a bit iconic, but
absolutely, that's a nice story.
It's got to get it renamed the Robbie Farah Scoreboard now.
Well, why don't we rename the whole stadium?
No.
Once you get
redeveloped. Benji can have the grandstand or something. I just want the scoreboard.
Benji, okay, best player you've played with, and best player you've played against.
I hate this question because I don't like disrespecting guys I played with. No, like I hate pinpointing one because they're all great in their own right. Benji's done some of the, or not some of, definitely the freakiest things I've ever seen on a footy field. Just when you think something can't be done, Benji will pull something out of his backside and do it. But then I look at guys like a Brett Hodgson, who's one of the toughest I played with, and you look at him with his shirt off and he's all skin and bones, like just a Liam Ford and a Bryce Gibbs. Yeah, hey,
just ask Gordy.
But
look at Tallis.
Gareth Ellis, the impact he had at this club when he came over. You know, when I look at a player that had everything, Gareth Ellis for me stands out. Wow. Another player who, when he wanted to be at his best, he wasn't always at his best, but Jared Hayne, I got to play with him at Origin and for Australia, and for me, he was, that 09 season that everyone still talks about, he was unplayable. So to answer your question, it's hard to pinpoint one, but there's been plenty.
You sat on the fence there, righto. Best player you've played against.
Yeah, see, I get asked this a lot too. I got asked this the other day, and I say Jonathan Thurston. I say Jonathan Thurston because even though, well, not for Tigers, because they never beat us, the Cowboys, down in Sydney. Jonathan Thurston never beat us in Sydney, and obviously we beat them.
Is that right? Ever?
Never. No. And and obviously we beat them in a grand final. But when you look at Origin and the 8 years of dominance at Queensland, I think if you take Thurston out of their side, we win a lot of those series. He was so good in the big moments in Origin. He'd always come up with the right plays. So for me, he was the best.
Finally, mate, and you've had some very good coaches over the years, Right, Origin and at West Tigers.
And some not so good ones.
Okay, we don't need to go there. Mick Potter, Jason Taylor, Ivan Cleary, Craig Bellamy coached you in Origin. Yes.
Craig Bellamy coached me in my Origin debut. Yes, 09.
And Laurie Daly as well.
Laurie Daly, yep.
Righto. So, who do you think which of those coaches sort of, and Tim? Let's not forget Tim. Shaped you the most? Do you think?
Well, the person that shaped me the most, and he's not on that list, was Royce Simmons.
Right.
And Royce Simmons was the assistant coach here under Tim for about 10 years. Yeah. And if anyone ever asked me who had the biggest influence on your career, without hesitation, I say Royce Simmons. Still ask him for advice to this day. He helped me so much. Being an ex-hooker, I hung off every word that he said. And one of the proudest moments in my career was when I came back to the club after my hiatus, and I got to eventually play my 250th game here at the Tigers. Royce was the man that they got to present my jersey. Nice. And I remember it brought me to tears because, and I said to him that day, and I truly mean it, that there's no way I would have played 250 games at the Tigers or for New South Wales or for Australia if it wasn't for Royce. So I'm forever grateful for the impact he had on my career. And then when you talk about head coaches, obviously Tim shaped me as a player. Obviously encouraged me to showcase my skill and my talent. You know, he never put any restrictions on myself or Benji and got those players. Like he wanted us to be creative, and for me that was great because I was a very creative, instinctive footy player. So he was a perfect coach for me. And then through Origin, so many of them. The one that stands out in Origin for me is Sticky, Ricky Stewart. Yeah. Me and him just got on like a house on fire. I remember Tim growing up.
He's a bit grumpy too.
Well, that's the thing. So growing up, Tim always used to say to me, he said, "You remind me of Ricky Stewart so much." He goes, "You and him are cut from the same cloth." He used to say to me. And then when Sticky and I got to work together, within 2 days we were best mates.
There you go.
And Sticky's the type of coach where he wouldn't have to say much. You wouldn't want to. You just go run through a brick wall for him because you wouldn't want to let him down. So, so I love playing for Sticky in Origin.
Finally, mate, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh.
Crystal ball it.
Geez, I don't know whether I'll be a head coach or assistant coach. Whether I'm still coaching or doing something else, we'll see. Let's just see how this year goes. I'll tell you what,
So you've got the bug then, the coaching.
If we win the comp this year, I'll be retiring 1 from 1. I'm out. I'm out. So let's hope we win a comp in the next couple of years, and then I'll be working for 247, going to Super Bowls again and
all that.
Go and watch Liverpool at Anfield. No, I don't know. Don't ask me 5 years. Let's just worry about 2023 and getting back playing finals footy.
Well done, mate. Great to sit down and chat with you. I've learned a lot about you. I hope our listeners, our members and fans have learned a lot as well and enjoyed it. The very first episode of Behind the Raw. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you. I hope the guys have enjoyed it and looking forward to seeing everyone at the games this year.
Sure they have. And March 5, it'll be a sellout for sure. Buy your membership. And then we're back there against the Knights March 12th, Sunday, at the 8th Wonder of the World. You know the deal. Spread the word. Show your stripes. Tell your mates. And we'll do it all again next week on Behind the Raw. Behind the Raw, the official podcast of West Tigers.